morning YouTube, this is Cactus Naga again, this time with a video on a washing machine. This washing machine of mine has been jumping and shaking violently, especially when it goes into the spin cycle. I suspect it's the shock absorbers that are on the base of the machine. It's easy enough to get at. This lower panel is latched on with a couple of screws. I get that off and the lower panel can come off quite easily, thereby giving access to the shock absorbers, which I will show you shortly. But before that, I wanted to verify that the springs, there are a couple of springs on the top too, those hopefully are still okay. I'm gonna have to check on that. So before I order the shock absorbers, I just wanted to make sure that I don't need the springs also, because most of the time when shock absorbers go out, the springs also tend to get damaged. So I'm going to be checking on that first. In order to look at that, this top cover has to come off. So there are a couple of screws here, as well as on this side, that need to come off, and this cover should slide out. The top cover has been taken off, and the spring is right here. That's the spring right there, and it seems to be fully intact. I'll check the other side. This guy here too is fully intact. So I guess I don't need springs, so I'll be ordering the shock absorbers and I'll replace them when they come in. One of these shock absorbers is easy to get. It is very accessible, and it's bolted onto the bottom there and up there too. I'll show you the construction of it in a moment and how to get the pins out. A couple of plastic pins that have a little latch on them. I'll show you that in a minute. So this side is easy enough to take off. The other side, however, so there is the shock absorber, and the access is a little difficult there. I'm gonna have to kind of remove that, the drain pipe. There's a clamp there, and can take that off, and you should be able to get the shock absorber out, which is what I'm going to be doing next. So the one on the right is a little more tricky to get at, so it's a little difficult to get to. But I took this drain, disconnected it from here just to get some access to it. There's the pin up there. So tapped it out as usual. The one on the bottom was a little more tricky. For some reason it was jammed up, so what I did do was I used an extension for a socket, and I kind of slid it through from here and tapped on it with a little hammer, and did manage to get it out. So I just want to show you how the pins are locked into place, and just to make sure that when you do it, it doesn't really break the lock off. This is what the pins look like. There is a little lock here that kind of springs back into place. What you got to do is depress this so that you can slide the pin out, and the best way to do that is to use a socket, and kind of press it in like so, and it kind of depresses it, and you can actually push it out in that way. That's the easiest way. So here is one of the older shocks. As you can see, this is really doing no good anymore. It's really not doing any absorbing. So I did get some on eBay. $17 for a pair, and I want to show them to you. This is what they are. These are the new ones, and as you can see, it's tight. It doesn't slide out easily, and it did come with some. It did come with an extra pin just in case one of them breaks, I guess. Also came with 4 locking nuts. I am not sure what they are intended for. I cannot seem to see a use for them, so I'm not going to use them. Probably maybe it might be useful if you choose to put bolts through and try them on. I'm not sure why exactly they added this to the package, but I'm going to be installing the replacement shock absorbers, and we'll see how it goes from there. I've put in the new shock absorber, but the holding pins are a little tight in the new bushing, so it's kind of difficult to get it in. It looks like I'm gonna have to go on the back side, open the back panel, and tap the pins through. Same thing on the top there. They are kind of halfway in, but it's just not going all the way through. It's going to need a little more tapping, and there is really no access to it from the front here, so I'm going to open up the back panel. Removing the back panel is fairly straightforward. There's a whole lot of screws along the edge, and get them all off. Disconnect the water lines, of course. Turn off the water before you do that. And once all the screws have come off, you can get the back panel off quite easily. The two screws on each side that holds the top panel on also need to be removed. It kind of also holds the back panel in place. So I'm going to take the back panel off now and see how well we can get access to the pins that are holding the shock absorbers. As you can see, access from the back side is actually very easy now. Just ignore this little bowl there, as I'm just using that to hold the whole assembly up. I didn't want to remove the shock absorbers and have it hanging on the springs alone. So easy access there, also easy access there. So I'm just going to take a hammer and tap those pins into place. As expected, it was easy enough to tap those pins into place. I did use a socket, kind of a small socket that fits into the cavity there, like so, and I just hammered it in. And similarly on the top there, just kind of lined it up and hammer it in. So that side is looking good. It's locked in place. Now on the other side here, on this side, however, I'm going to have to kind of remove this control board cover, so that I have access to getting the pins into place, and install on the top side too, and we'll be good. Moving the control board out of the way is fairly easy. Just a couple of screws there that hold it in place. Once that is removed, as you can see, is a lot of access to get that pin pushed in, and I'm going to use the same technique. Use the little socket and tap the pin into place. The control board has been reinstalled. The pin is fully seated. That is also fully seated. The drain hose that needs to be reattached Just something to warn you guys about. When you do take that apart, there's going to be some water flowing out, so just be prepared for a small water spill. Once I get that reinstalled, I'm going to make sure that everything is looking good and close up everything up. I've connected the drain hose pipe back. Just forgot to mention to you, when I had taken out the disconnected the hose pipe, I did not cover the mouth of the pipe, and it's kind of dangerous to do that. And it so happened to me that my little socket did fall into the pipe, and I had to remove the entire rubber piping just to get my socket out of it. So just a word of caution on that. The pins are all the way installed, all 4 of them. I did verify that. So looks like we're ready to rock. Everything has been reassembled. The hoses, the water connections have been made. Back panel has been reinstalled. The top cover has been reinstalled. The front access panel has been reinstalled, and everything is slid back into place. Made sure that it's resting firmly on the floor. Adjusted the legs to make sure of that, and it's ready to rock. Thanks for watching, guys.